Okay, my friends, welcome. This is Garrett J. White, the Master Coach Mentor, and welcome here to a Wake Up TV special edition. And holy smokes, we're going to turn this thing down just a wee bit here in the old earphones. Okay, cool. Anyway, so welcome here to Wake Up TV. I know normally you're used to us doing a TV show during the day on Mondays, which we do every single week interviewing rock stars, and we will have our guest tonight on tonight's Hangout, Mr. Raul, and I make up his last name just so that he knows and everybody knows, because it's my show, I have the right to refuse service to anyone. No shoes, no shirt, no service. And on top of this, I can change your last name, first name, anything. Yeah, one of our guests tomorrow on a radio show, I've actually changed her name from Yada to Bob. That's it. Her name is Bob. So we're going to introduce her as Bob tomorrow. So tonight we got a special guest. We're going to be talking about the concepts of what it takes to live at the next level, and ultimately what it takes to network your way through a principle known as proximity is power. Now, for all of those who are watching, who follow us at all in the Wake Up Warrior movement, I'll remind you about a couple things as we get going here tonight. First thing to remind you about is this: if you are interested in getting all the content that we're up to in Wake Up Warrior, all of the concepts around what it takes to be more, to do more, and to suck less, and ultimately have it all, which is, if you will notice these little messages, have it all, next level experience, have it all, next level experience. The only difference is I like to hashtag mine a little more than Raul. Outside of me hashtagging a little bit more, he caught up on the hashtag and recently on the Facebook videos. So now we're like competing for hashtags on the concept, but they are coming together, married in one harmonious conversation. So these things, this concept itself, if you'd like to get access to this as well as all the shows that we do, you can download the Wake Up Warrior app at a new page at wakeupwarriorapp.com. Go to short video there, walks you through the tutorial. This TV show that we're doing with Raul will be there, as well as the transcripts inside that app, and you'll be able to have access to this forever or be able to check it out on YouTube. A couple other things to notice here on the page as we get started too is right beneath the video, you're going to see an actual button. Oh, good. I was checking my coverage there. You're going to see a button, and that button itself is going to link you through to the next level experience. We're going to be referencing an event that's occurring here this weekend on Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday, as well as every quarter through 2014. The only workshop in the marketplace at this point outside of my own Wake Up Warrior events that I am supporting with the Warrior Brotherhood, and that I believe we have 4, possibly 5 guys coming to this week's event. Greg, who just recently told me this morning he's actually coming, which is fantastic, and we're excited to be there. So let's sit back, and we're going to have an initial conversation here tonight. And the question I want you to be thinking about as I bring in our guest, Raul, my brother, is simply this, is what does it mean to live at the next level? You know, I got a conversation. I actually met Raul when I was on stage in an event called The Underground in 2013 and ripped a hole in the crotch of my pants from stage, my friends. Yes, I did. And Raul was looking at the hole in the crotch of my pants. And here we are today. That is our connection. It's quite random, quite wild. I don't judge. I don't judge. There were a lot of people in that room, and it was a big hole in the crotch of my pants. I get it, and for real, those who don't actually believe me, I really did rip a hole in my pants from stage and then speak. And then from that place, Raul reached out to me last fall, and he said, hey, Garrett, I'm doing this thing called the Next Level Experience. And at that point, that became the first time I got to spend some real good time with Raul. But where I really got to spend some time with him was at the Next Level Experience in December. Now, my conditions in December when we went to this, I had just run a Warrior Week that was 7 days long, and I was on a reality television show for 5 days after the Next Level Experience, and the Next Level Experience was in the middle. Now, the crazier thing is Raul got this concept in his head and decided to execute on it at Christmas time, not a week and a half to 2 weeks before Christmas, and not only that, to start reaching out to people and to have the gall to request that me and many individuals travel not only around Christmas time, but many individuals who attended the last Next Level Experience came with less than 7 days notice, some of them as little as 48 hours notice. Dropped everything, got on planes, and flew there. And I can tell you, watching Raul run the show at the Next Level Experience, I told him then, and I'll tell him today here on this Hangout, and I'll continue to say it for as long as we're brothers and hanging out, assuming that he doesn't become a psycho and continue to not have fantastic hair and end up at the Oscars like a very attractive Latin man should. We're going to be promoting this game for a very, very, very long time. Excited to be there to share some concepts about Warrior while we're there. So, Raul, with all the shenanigans to the side, brother, I'm going to ask you one simple question, which is this. What is it that the people should know about you? Like, who is Raul? because we're going to have a lot of people in the hangout tonight, and particularly on the replays on this that'll continue to roll out into the thousands of people that will watch this here over the next few days. What should they know about you? Who are you besides a very attractive Latin man with perfect hair?
Thanks, man. First of all, thank you, man. It's a truly an honor, man, to be here in your presence, man. With that introduction, man, you just blow me away. I want to sit down and just watch you talk all the time, the whole time, man. I'm honored that you have me here, man. But I'm just an entrepreneur. I'm just like everybody else. The difference is that I just got tired of focusing on my business. I spend my entire life focusing on how to succeed, how to achieve, how to get more money, how to make more money, until I was pretty much retired by the age 30. I had millions of dollars in real estate by the age 30. So I thought I was a shit. I thought I was like, I made it. My accountant gave me the letter saying, hey, congratulations, you are a millionaire at the age of 30 years old. And one thing happened, the recession. And I saw my net worth come down little by little. So what did I do? I started working harder. I said, this is not going to break me. I'm going to make the money back. And I continue to struggle to make things happen. So after making millions, losing millions, and I came back to making more money. So at the end of the day, I said, is this it? Is this what life is about? Continue to go up and down, achieve, achieve, achieve. So I wasn't satisfied, man. I wasn't satisfied with making money. I wasn't satisfied just making money for my business or for my family. I wanted to make an impact. I didn't know what it was. I'll be honest with you, I was searching. So just like everyone else, I was joining masterminds after masterminds, going after seminar after seminar. I spent over $250,000 in my personal growth without knowing without knowing the outcome. So just like everyone else who's looking for something, I feel like I finally found my purpose. And after years of research in this industry, the purpose is to awaken people to their true potential, to know that it's not about making money, it's not about how much money you have, or it's not about having things. It's about having it all. And I didn't believe that you could have it all until I met some individuals who have it all. There's a very few people who have it all. And I mean, you're one of those people who talk about having it all. And it's almost impossible, according to what people think, is that you could have it all. So one thing that people should know about me is that I am so persistent about having it all. I'm not going to settle for anything less than having it all. A great family, a passionate marriage, a great health, physical health, and business, a kick-ass business. So those are the four things that for me are must. I'm being around people who push me to the next level, being around people who make me want to have fun, and I want to grow. So that's why I love hanging around with you, man, because your vibration, man, and your energy just takes me to a whole different level every time I hang around with you, man.
I love it. So what you're telling me is a reason, and the only reason I got invited to be part of this epic event series that is occurring in 2013, 14, 15, and into the future is because I'm a battery.
You are a badass.
Okay. A badass battery. Well,
yeah.
At least we threw the disclaimer in there, because if I was just a regular battery, this would be bullshit, but I'm a badass battery, so I will accept this. Now, dude, I'm going to come back and I'm going to ask you a couple of really key things, because I noticed that individuals are playing at the level. I mean, the next level experience and that room of individuals starting on Sunday that you and I and the group are going to be part of, and I'm going to be there. People think, oh, Garrett, are you running this event? I'm like, no, this is Raul's deal. And I am a huge supporter of this, and I will be attending all of them. And excited to be at the Wynn in Vegas with you starting on Sunday morning. So here's the thing I hear from you and I see from you. There's a couple of things in the marketplace that we observe as Raul, which is the first thing, your ruthless commitment to being involved in masterminds and high-level groups. Now, like, dude, I don't think I know anybody in my circle who is committed to traveling more, investing more, and spending more time, energy, and money in being part of mastermind groups. And that was part of your story after things started collapsing with real estate investing like me, over $250,000 in personal development and proximity. We're going to get to that in a second. Talk to me about how did that make sense to you? A lot of people are there and they're losing the game. And we're going to have a lot of people watching this who maybe are in that painful game at some level in their life, their marriage, their business, their body, whatever. It's falling apart. It's digressing. how did you think even, and then what was the game that led you to continuing to ante up and to invest time, invest energy, and keep investing in you and who you were, even though your entire physical world financially was starting to go here? I mean, this is contradictory. To most people, it's like, to you, you were like, oh no, hell, I'm going this way. Talk about this for a moment. I think it'd be super valuable.
You know, it didn't make any sense. It would not make sense, because the mindset that you have when you create the problem is not the same mindset that you need to fix a problem. So here I am, I'm broke, and I'm trying to fix what is broken. And the only way to do it is to be around other people, man. So I spent my last, I think at that point, I think I had $5,000 left. And I spent $5,000 in a growth seminar that I was just, it didn't make any sense. But it was something in me that I knew I was called. And it's hard to explain, but when you are in a hard place and it's between paying the bills and growing, that choice of growing is what's going to define you. Because I could have easily taken those $5,000 and I could have invested in the business. But I invested in myself, and that was the best money that I spent. And after that, it became more of like, okay, so if I learn this at this level, what can I learn if I spend more? So what I saw is that the big difference is the costs of seminars, of mastermind groups. The higher the cost, the better the quality of people. So in one day, I spent $25,000, and I was around billionaires. So I said, shit, man, that's cheap compared to what people are spending in bullshit, in cars, in traveling. I mean, I was so obsessed about learning from other people what took them to the next level. That was my obsession. It didn't make any sense. I didn't know what I was doing it for, but it was something that I knew there was a purpose. At the end of the day, there was a purpose. And now I have a huge network because those guys are seeing me as their equal. They're seeing me as hey, you're one of the guys. When I didn't have the money to be in those spaces, I created relationships that put me now because they see me as a peer.
Okay, so we're going to come back. So what I'm hearing you say is there was this pulling sensation. It was like almost pulling you forward. I had a very similar experience to this. Describe, if you can, I know it's hard to describe this, but people, when they get into this contraction phase, or better yet, recently I've been having a conversation with a whole bunch of different entrepreneurs, particularly guys, who life is pretty good. Like, it's pretty good. They're pretty comfortable, but it's not epic. It's not great, and it's definitely not the next level for them. They know there's this pull feeling. Talk about for a moment this pull, because it's something that you discuss heavily at the next level experience, and we don't just talk about it, we actually get to experience it. And you've told me the plans for this next one coming up, and holy shit, like, I'm excited for some of the stuff, and I got the inside track on what's going on. So share with me, if you would, talk to me about, like, describe the pull. What is the pull? What is this pull that you're feeling that was pulling you forward? Because it gave you something in that moment when, again, the easier choice would have been to pay the bills.
You know, it's that feeling and that knowing is that, shit, man, I'm made for more than this. Like, I know I'm smarter than this. I know that I'm not supposed to struggle. So why am I struggling? Why am I in this place? What's the lesson, man? I remember it was between paying my mortgage and paying my business. So I said, I'm smarter than this. Why is this happening to me? You know, and I remember having that conversation with God, and God telling me that you need to grow. That was the message, grow. Grow. So I'm putting you in this because it's like he was pounding me. I'm pounding me so I could grow, so I could become stronger. So my metaphor in life was like, if the harder I get hit, the stronger I will get. And the only way I can get stronger is by being in the gym. And by being in the gym, meaning being around people who were fit, being around people who had the businesses that I wanted. I couldn't go back to my lifestyle because it wouldn't help me. So I needed to become stronger, and the only way is there's no shortcuts. You have to pay your dues. The shortcuts are, I met a guy recently. He won $2 million in the lottery. He was a painter, now he's a millionaire. A year later, he's still struggling because the mindset, it wasn't there. He didn't earn it, he won it. So he still has the same problems that he has when he was broke. So for me, it was the growth, man. I knew that I had to get stronger. I knew that this would never happen to me again. So I had to become strong. And the only way to get strong is to be around those who knew more than I did. So the pool was like, if I could see that people are struggling in the other side, if I could see that some people are succeeding in the worst economic time, what's the difference between them and me? What's the difference? What do they know that I don't know? So if I could get into proximity and they could see me as one of the guys, that was the insight. So I remember going into a meeting, and I was way out of place, man, because everybody's a millionaire, everybody has their shit together, and I'm just a regular guy. And I sit next to Jay Abraham. So if you guys don't know who Jay Abraham is, he's the billion-dollar man. He's helped companies go over $1 billion. And him and I are sitting together. I'm telling him about my projects and what I'm doing. And he said, let me help you see if I could give you a different perspective. His perspective, 10 times my business. Here's this guy who's helped companies go over $1 billion, helping me my little business. What is that worth? What is that worth, man? I mean, and then people are telling me that they can't spend a couple $1,000s to go to an event because they don't have time or they don't have the money. That's the reason that people have abundance and people who live in lack. I mean, that for me is crazy because it didn't make financial sense, but that pull, that call was that I know there was a better life. I know that there's people know something that I don't know, and now I'm gonna find out. And I was obsessed about finding out.
So there's two things I've noticed with you, and I'm hearing them come up again here with your story. And again, I've gotten to hang out with you quite a bit here and connect with you, follow you, and be part of. Yes, I stalk you on Facebook, particularly after you started doing Facebook videos. About damn time. About damn time. Facebook video, man. I like them. They're beautiful. You're doing a great job. So here's the thing I've noticed. Number one, there is a distinct connection, and I made this shift too, and you've made this shift, but I'm interested in your perspective on this, where you saw the value in your future-pacing business and in your life, but the value itself was in the one asset, the most important asset, which was you. Now, the second one was other people, which for these two things to be number one and number two, to a normal person day to day, this makes no sense because the value is in all the shit.
Yeah.
The stuff. The value is in having my safe, secure bills paid. My value is in these. Start with the first one. When did you start to get to a place where you recognized that the number one asset in your business was you? And then how did recognizing that lead to the second place, which was seeing the value in relationships? Because Jay Abraham was a perfect example of this, and I think that segues us perfectly into your concept we're going to talk about for the rest of our time together, which is this proximity is power, and why the next level experience may be the proximity that people are looking for to find the next level of power in their lives and in their business. So start with the first piece. How did you get there? How did that begin as a, hey, you know what? I got to invest in me. I'm the number one asset in my life and number one asset in my business.
Because when you have a lot of money, you have a lot of friends. There's no shortage of friends when you're rolling. But when you have no money, then you know who your real friends are. So now you're surrounded by your friends and with your family. So when I have family only, when my family came to me, and I remember this conversation with my wife as if it was yesterday, man. I came to her and I said, it's going to be between, if things keep going the way things are going, it looks like we may lose the house. This was about 7-8 years ago. And I said, I need to know if this house, if the cars, if the lifestyle is the reason you're with me, or if I lose everything, we're still gonna be together. And she said to me, Raul, I don't care what we have. If we live in a basement or if we live under the bridge, I'm still with you. I love you. As a man, even though we think that we don't need that, I needed that security. Because then I knew that it was about this. It wasn't about everything we have. So the number one asset was me. As long as I became the man she deserved, it was up to me. So from that decision forward, man, I burned all the boats and I was committed to take over the island. Because I had a little bit of money left of one property that I sold, I decided I'm going to invest. And from then on, man, I thank God never had to suffer any financial situation. And that was the drive. As a man, you need to know that your woman will stand by you no matter what. that will give you the drive to become the man that she deserves. And then by me becoming the man that she deserves, I became the man that I was created for. So now we look at each other as she helped me grow, but now I know who I am. Like everything that I have doesn't define me. I could be broke, I could be on the bridge, and I still am me. It doesn't matter what I have around me. So that's a distinction that before it was about the things that I've had, the things that I could create, how much money, how many companies, how many properties, you know, my background in real estate, I have buildings. Now it's about, I know who I am. Money doesn't define me. You know, the circumstances doesn't define me. I know who I am. And if it's up to you, but that's the only investment. How can you not invest in your best asset? How could you not invest in yourself? You know, you buy cars, you buy houses, you go to vacation, and you nickel and dime in yourself, your personal growth, man. That I could never understand it. I cannot relate when people are telling me that they can't spend that kind of money, that they can't invest in that money. It's like you don't love yourself enough to really put yourself in that moment of growth. I mean, you deserve it, man. You deserve to be the man that your wife, you know, deserves. And as a man, that once I had a distinction that my wife loved me no matter what, and I had to become for her the man that she deserves, that was that for me. That was a defining moment.
So one of the pieces to pull this off requires significant growth, right? And you've already alluded to the fact that you've invested an incredible amount of money and an incredible amount of time, and anybody who follows you at all knows it, where I may do a ridiculous amount of content creation every week between our magazine, TV, multiple radio shows, hangouts like this, etc. I'm traveling back and forth between multiple computer monitors in my office in Laguna Beach, and Raul is on planes, not just like all over the U.S. Raul's on planes all over the world, striving for this thing called growth. Now, talking about two different angles on this idea of growth, because in order to go to any next level, if I'm here, who I'm being, what I know, my mindsets, my skill sets, my perception of the world, the reality that I live in at this level, we'll call it level 2. If the next level for me is to go with the desire to level 3, there's this phase of growth and expansion needs to occur. Talk about, in your experience as you've grown, and as you watch entrepreneurs who come to the next level and individuals in these masterminds, Tony's Platinum program that you're part of, and all these high-level groups of Mavericks with Yannick Silver and all the rest of these amazing groups that you get to play with and invest in, what have you observed about growth? Because, you know, this is really the concept, the next level. We're saying here you are at level 2, you want to go to level 3. The whole world is different up here. You got to think different, you got to act different, you're going to behave different. But that gap, talk about that gap and how you think through, work through, and experience that growth, because that's a piece that most people are scared about. When you say, hey, dude, let's go to the next level, they're like, yeah, I'm going to go to the next level. And they see it up here, and they know where they are. You getting me here? Talk about that gap and the journey for you between point to point.
So, you know, I think that in order for you to see that gap, right, if you're here and you want to go here, you need to see yourself here, but not just see yourself here. You need to have a conversation with somebody that sees you here. Because one thing is for you to say, hey, you know what, I see myself, I want to motivate myself, I want to create this you know, whiteboards, and I'm in the future. But if you could get somebody that says, hey, Garrett, I'm here, I'm where you want to be, and this is how I see you, shit, man, that just completely will expand your mind, because it's not just about you psyching yourself out or believing that you're going to do something. It's about other people who are where you want to be saying, this is where I see you. I see that you have all the qualities to make it to where I am because I see myself in you. So I didn't understand this until I saw a guy who had $100 million hedge fund, and he goes, Raul, you're way too smart to be doing business the way you're doing. This is what I see that you could do. This is what I see you doing. At that point, it hit me like, I know I'm too smart, but it took this guy who was where the level that I want to be to tell me that. I said, shit, you know what? I am smarter than that. So because he saw me, that gave me the drive to even go to that level.
So look what you're saying here, right? Okay, so you come back to your Jay Abraham example, and you're sitting there with Jay, and Jay looks down from a level up here, having led companies to $1 billion in revenue. Raul rolls up into this thing, and Jay looks down, not looks down at him as if you're a piece of shit, how dare you be in this room, And this is a perception I used to have too, and I watch a lot of individuals like, oh, well, everybody at the top is an asshole. And my experience has been totally different. That some of the biggest assholes are the people at the bottom. Like these are the most scarce-driven, limited thinking individuals. But as you continue to go to higher and higher levels, people actually become more abundant and open, and there's less scarcity involved. And so there's this looking down process as a way to pull up. Now, my experience is what you're receiving there is permission. Like almost permission to go to the next level. Now, for people who maybe in their world, they're watching this hangout and they're saying, okay, well, Garrett, I want to go to that next level, but I don't, where is my J. Abraham? Where is my Raul? How do I get myself into a place where I can have people at the next level look into my world and say, hey, Eagle, what the fuck are you doing? You're on the ground like a chicken, walking around pecking shit, and you got big ass wings, and ain't nobody gonna put you on a hamburger. This is not Eagle sandwich. This is Eagle, get your ass up in the air, and you're down here on the ground with the chickens. What did you do? I mean, how did you consciously think through the process of putting yourself into consistent, not once, but consistently putting yourself in a place where the next level, that perspective of permission would come down? Is this making sense what I'm asking?
It's making total sense, man. And to be honest with you, it was scary. It was scary, and it was the hardest thing that I've done, because I knew in my mind that I didn't belong in those places, and I was intimidated by them. But the more I was around those people, the stronger I got, and the conversations got deeper and deeper. And like you said, the higher level they are, the more abundant minded they are. So just to give an example, when I started real estate, right, it took me years to be able to create a fund of people giving me, $100,000 or $300,000 to invest. When I'm in proximity with these people, it took me one day to raise $5 million. One phone call, one meeting, one day. Because it's not about what I'm gonna get. It's about, I see who you are, I trust you, you are in my sphere of influence, proximity is power, here's a check. So that's as real as it gets, man. If you're a real guy and you have the good intentions, these people respect that. Doesn't matter how much money you have. It doesn't matter. It matters your intentions. If your intentions are pure and you want to grow and you're looking for help, people will help you. But like you said, how do you get in those proximities? You can't just knock on a CEO's door and say, hey, I want you to help me. It doesn't work that way. You have to be around the circles. You have to go where they are. And that's where I think that the next level is, because I've been able to network with those guys, and I'm bringing them in one circle, and I'm bringing people together so they could actually share their knowledge. Because what they want to do is they want to leverage too. They want a young guy or a young girl that says, you know what, you have the drive, I have the money, let's partner together, let's blow this shit up. Because at this point, it's leverage. We all have the time and energy. They might have the money, but you and I have the drive and have the energy to take it to the next level. So that's what I'm doing. I'm creating, youth and energy coming in, and guys who already have the money and want to invest, put them together, and this thing is blowing up.
Love it. Okay, so we're gonna one of the fun gifts I have is I love to just extract all the golden nuggets, simply because I get to work in the streets with so many individuals, particularly with what we're doing with the Wake Up Warrior movement and empowering thousands of individuals now to see this concept of having it all. So I'm going to break down two things that happen, and this is what happens at the event Next Level Experience, which is occurring starting this Sunday. We're going to talk a little bit about that as kind of our interim here in our hangout in just a second, so I'll be ready to talk a little bit about this 3-day event that's coming up here in the next couple of days. I know for some of you are going, what the hell, dude, this is late notice. I said, listen, we're going to do this because I know there are 2 or 3 entrepreneurs that are going to see this hangout that deserve to be in the proximity of power at the Next Level Experience with us. And if we don't do this hangout, there are 2 or 3 entrepreneurs whose families, whose lives, whose marriages, and whose bank accounts are going to suffer because they were not in the proximity of the power players that are going to be there. So let's just do this hangout. It's not convenient for you. It's not convenient for me. Let's just do it, and we'll promote it, and we'll hopefully get those 3 guys or gals to see this. So here's the thing I want you to see, for my friends. Next level is a concept of being clear about 2 things, and this permission that Raul's talking about. As you stand in these 2 places, there is the vision or the perception of paradise where you choose to go. And the next level experience, you're going to hear over and over again stories of individuals sold their businesses for $40, $50 million. Hedge fund managers, you're going to have realtors, you're going to have all these individuals who are speaking, investment bankers, internet marketers, consultants, coaches. The whole room is filled with this different dynamic of people. But the one thing that you'll see is that being around other people like this allows you to get very clear about two things, because once you start to get the elite levels, you know that you cannot go to the next level unless you're clear about three things. Clarity number one is, where are you, and don't be fucking lying. Where are you for real? Real talk. Where are you at? And forever, my reason I couldn't get to next level is because I was a big ass liar. I was embarrassed. I felt unworthy. I didn't want to talk to anyone and tell them what was really going on. And so I was Garrett, the sort of truth teller. And it was more like I omitted a lot of stuff. And so I would try to posture and position myself at events. And that's not what next level experience has been like at all for me. So the first thing is being clear about where you are and being in the proximity of other people who don't speak bullshit, who see right through your bullshit, or like, listen, dude, where are you at? Well, okay. So now that you're done telling me a bunch of drama stories, how would you really tell me right now where you're at? Well, here's where I am. And second position, where do I want to go? These sound elementary. What is the next level for you? Well, oftentimes it requires you to be in the space of another person who has a life that you didn't even imagine possible. And they speak into your life and you're like, holy shit, I didn't even think that was possible. Let alone did I even think that was anybody else's reality. I can't believe this. I want that. Bam. Here's what I want. I have evidence that it's possible. Bam. Here's where I am. Now here's where the gold magic comes. It's the map. It's the path to get between these two. Now, these 3 points we cover at Next Level Experience. When I say we, it's because it is Raul and the team running it. But this is a collective experience like nothing I've ever been to before. Yeah, it's like, God, you know, imagine like going, if you, for those that maybe go to church or have some kind of religious experience, it might be the difference between getting up and hearing a good pastor do a good sermon, and then having a group do a scripture study together. And it switches, and there's one, and because the whole room are badasses in their own right, what you get up front is you get this constant rotation of another badass. You're like, dude, seriously, is there like an unlimited supply? Is this like the buffet of badasses right here? Because like everybody keeps coming up is in their own right, runs their own kingdom and their own empire, and here we are all hanging out together. Now, I may have just totally stole your thunder, but talk about the Next Level Experience and do it through 2 conversations for me. Number one, why did you decide to do it? Because I think the context around why you're doing this is as important of what we're doing there. And then the second piece is talk about the results and what you saw happen from the first round we did, and I'll keep dripping my witness here throughout the process, but talk about those 2 things. Why did you decide to do the Next Level Experience? You didn't have to. It wasn't convenient. You put your ass on the line at Christmas, bunch of money, not at a cheap hotel. This was not the Motel 6, you know, with, shove everybody in with a bunch of folding chairs. This was like badass facility, badass production. I mean, I was blown away. I walked in, I couldn't believe it. I thought you guys have some, goldfish and some water bottles for us. And it was not that experience. It was like blew my mind. So talk about why do it? And then what did you see happen for you and for the rest of the participants at the end of this amazing event last time?
You know, it's funny that you mentioned that because I've been through a bunch of events. I mean, I joined 4 masterminds, traveled to probably 30 different events in the last 2 years. So I consider myself that I've been through everything, right? But it hasn't been one event that has it all. Health, spirituality, relationships, and business. And when I look at it, I said, I wish there was a place that I could go and they could cover everything, and they could give me a cool experience that would bond me with people. And it's not a big ass event; it's a small event that I could actually get to know the people. So I remember having this conversation with my wife. My wife was like, "Yeah, why don't you put it together?" I said, "Come on, here I am putting this together." I said, "Who's gonna come?" I said, I might tell my friends about it, but I don't. Who's gonna come? So and this is a true story, man, true story. I went to a fundraiser in New York City. It was a director raising money for a movie that he's working with Eckhart Tolle. Now, you know who Eckhart Tolle is, right?
Mm-hmm.
A huge philosopher, The Power of Now, He wrote the book New Earth. So he's in stage talking about his movie. And I'm with my suit on. I'm in my business, suit. He comes down from the stage, says hello to a couple of people, comes straight to me, and he says, "Hi, how you doing? What do you do?" And I'm like, "Oh, I'm in the real estate investment field, and I'm this and that." He says, "Great." And I don't know why, but I said this, Garrett. I said, "Hey, would you be interested in coming to an event where we have high net worth entrepreneurs that you could talk about your movie and you could kind of help out, the dynamic of a mastermind?" And he said, "Absolutely. Here's my card. Let me get your card, and we'll talk." I walked out of that conversation. I'm saying to my wife, "What the hell did I just say? There's no event. I didn't want to put anything together. Like, was I trying to impress the guy? What's going on here?" And she said, "Yeah, probably he won't even remember." The next day, he calls me. He says, "Raul, I want to know more about your event." I didn't return his phone call. He emails me. He says, "Raul, I want to know more." And this guy is an Oscar-winning producer. He won an Oscar on a movie that he made. So I finally called him back, and I said, "Listen, I'm just starting to put this event together. It looks like it's going to be a handful of people." He goes, "I'm in. I'm in. Put it together. I'm in." So I said, "Shit, now I have to make this happen." So I called a couple of people and said, "Okay, this is going to be at the Wynn. It's going to be a closed network opportunity." At that point, I didn't even know what it was going to be like, right? I called you and you said, "I'm in." So pretty much I was looking for somebody to tell me, "Raul, you're crazy. Right before Christmas, you're not going to put an event together. Nobody's going to attend. Like, just knock it off." And 40, 50 people showed up, and we had one of the best experiences of our lives. It came to, for me at least, it was a realization of what I was born to do. What the reason that I'm here in this earth is to inspire and impact people to awaken to their true potential so they can live their ultimate destiny. That's what I'm here for. That's what I'm called to do. So why am I doing this? Is because this is my life. If people could see what they could be, and I could show them, just like you said, as an eagle. I use the metaphor of the lion. I look at myself as, I'm the lion going around the sheep and the lions, and I'm waking lions up. Because there's a lot of lions out there that are acting like sheep. There's a lot of lions out there that I think they're sheep. Well, they're lions. So I'm looking for those few lions that are among the sheep, and I'm waking them up so they could see their true potential. So if I don't do it, man, there's so many people who are not going to be able to relate to the big guys, like a Tony Robbins, like an Eckhart Tolle. They won't relate to those guys, but they will relate to me because I've been in the same place as everybody else. I've been in the same place as just recently, just a couple of years ago, I was lost. A couple of years ago, I was in pain. Now that I believe that I'm awakened to the fact that there's more to life than just achieving. And by letting go of the attachment, you could have it all. You could truly have it all. Everything come to place. Everything will come to you as long as you don't have the attachment and you have the pure intention to contribute and grow. So why I'm doing it is to make sure people know their true value, to awaken to their true potential.
Love it, dude. So here's the thing I'm going to add to it. And for those that are watching right now, you're going to notice there's a button underneath this video. There's Google Hangout as we're doing this live. If you're on the replay on this page, you're going to notice that same deal. If you're on YouTube for some reason watching this right now as a replay, you'll see a link there that will take you through to a page that would explain this, and the domain is thenextlevelexperience.com. The one thing I would have you look at, and for those who might be listening to this who are at a high level, you might be asking a question I would have been asking. And here's a question you'd be asking. Well, Garrett, I've seen a lot of people talking about this idea of abundance and living in purpose and living in power, and most of those people that I've heard talking about this, the truth is most prosperity talkers are broke. And this is a crazy deal, right? I know, because I was in that place. I've watched individuals in that place. Most preachers of prosperity are broke. Most preachers of living your purpose are broke. Most individuals who preach the concept of prosperous living have no practical conversation with what the hell they're talking about. And so the distinction I want to create for you between what's going on at Next Level Experience and what's going on maybe at a local free networking event for $14, I guess that's not free. What for us might as well be free. I'm going to spend that like 10 times that much at valet at any hotel I go to around here in Laguna Beach. So like in that space, I'm going to tell you the room is different. When you get a group of producers who have high-level mindsets and skill sets in marketing, sales, systems, business production, and bank accounts, and you put that room together talking about prosperity, the difference between that group and the 98% who talk about prosperity is that these people do shit.
Yeah.
They don't sit around and talk about prosperity. They live prosperity. When they say they're going to change something, they put their money behind the thing they say they're going to change. Over here, there is no money to put behind it. Now, I'm not downing, judging, or saying that these people over here are worthless for talking prosperity, because at some level we've got to start convincing ourselves emotionally in our own minds to this idea of prosperity. But the thing I will tell you, and I want you to understand this distinction, Raul, you can add anything to this you would like to. Raul put this together specifically for a room of producers. Like producers. Guys, you don't have to be making millions of dollars, but you can't necessarily be a rookie. Like this cannot be, hey, I'm going to quit my job tomorrow, I'm going to come to Next Level Experience. As beautiful as that would be, you wouldn't connect as the same. So there are certain levels that we're growing. And so, Raul, maybe you can talk a little bit more about who fills these kind of rooms and who's there, because you, just like me day to day, and then let's move into this principle, and I want some practical training for our viewers tonight here on this idea of proximity is power and how you strategically go about networking, and whether they were using that with us here at the Next Level Experience coming up in the next couple of days, or the next Level Experience that occurs, or one of the next two of this year, whichever one that is, that they can put this into action. But discuss this idea, because and I hope I'm clear for you watching this at home, this difference. Not wrong to talk about prosperity and be broke. This is not wrong. I'm not making it wrong. I'm not judging it as wrong. But that's a different level of prosperity talk. The Next Level Experience is a quantum shift away from that. And I'll just share my witness to it of what I experienced. I'm sitting on my left. Sitting on my left is one of the top LinkedIn strategists in the marketplace, Greg. Sitting to my right was a guy that runs 3 of the top platform infomercial product promotions in the marketplace online today. And then sitting right across from me at the table was the top 5 distributor for Herbalife. And then sitting around the other side of the table to me was a couple who had just sold their company for $40–50 million. Like, this was the table that I was hanging out at and knuckle bumping and screwing around and saying stupid shit and wearing the only t-shirt I have. I only have one. And it's the only shirt I wear. It's lingerie also, just in case anyone was wondering. I just take my pants off quickly, and I've got lingerie on. It's the Wake Up Warrior lingerie t-shirt. So that was my experience. But Raul, why don't you talk about like who's in the room and why you specifically built the room the way you did, and then let's shift into some training on proximity as power and the idea of networking.
Okay, so the distinction that I saw when I was going to event after event after event is that pretty much it was the same crowd. You know, we want to take a lap to the next level, but it was the same crowd. And all the other seminars that I attended, it was the same guy who a year ago wanted to do something, got a strategy, came back the next year, and he still hasn't done shit. Mm-hmm. So I said, if I put an event together, it can be with the people who are getting ready to get ready to do stuff. I want to work with the people I want to work with the 1%ers. I want to work with the people who are already doing stuff, right? So I specifically made an application-only event. You can't just buy your way in. I don't want your money. You can't just pay me to go in there. A room like that usually will cost you probably about $100,000 to even be in a room like this. I mean, it's not, if you go the traditional way that you have to attend events and you have to buy the mastermind, and then you probably one day will be around these people. Mm-hmm. But I specifically made it for the people who have been already through a lot of the personal development, a lot of the masterminds. So after you travel and you've already been through these masterminds, what else is next? So those are the people who are coming to this event, people who are already successful in their own businesses, have CEOs of companies. Like there's a guy actually who's coming in, who he's the CEO of a nonprofit who has 21,000 members. He wants to do a training for their members, so he's coming in to participate in the next level. We have a hedge fund manager who raised $1 billion in real estate. We have another guy who's an entrepreneur who's just an investor, and he has $100 million fund. We have, I mean, the quality of people that are coming, it just blows my mind. We have a doctor that is no longer practicing, but he's involved in 3D printing. So he's actually 3D printing organs and bones and stuff like that. I mean, cool stuff. And I can't even understand this stuff. I mean, these people are talking to me about it. I'm like, yeah, I'd love for you to be part of it. And they're the ones who are just calling me saying, I want to be part of it. How can I contribute? The biggest problem I have is people who want to talk, because now we're gonna have 50 people, and they all want to talk about what they could give. They don't want to sell anything. They want to give. These people want to give. They want to share what they're doing. They want to share their strategies. I mean, we have the guy who created the #1 app out there. That sold it for $100 million. I can't disclose who he is, but he's coming in and give us a talk. I mean, this is just cool people. People that will not go to a personal development. Usually, they will not go to a personal development seminar. Usually, they won't go to an internet marketing seminar. So these people are not in our normal day-to-day seminar world. You know, I went specifically after those who probably wouldn't be attracted to that. So that's the type of people you're gonna be hanging around with.
I love it. So dude, one of the things that I have found, and it ties straight into this proximity is power idea, is the power of association, which for me is the exact principle of proximity is power. Talk about networking in your world with so many people using the internet. I've watched so many individuals who were complete, how do I put this? Let's see, they were complete douchebags. Okay, there you go. Douchebags offline. What I mean is they had no skills in networking offline, who have looked at the internet as a place to rape and pillage, and are like, oh, it's the internet. I can show up and be on the internet, and no one will know that I'm a douchebag. And just like money, it just magnifies who you are. Going online, if you have no idea how to network, going online, you will show up like a douchebag, non-value creating asshole, no different than you would offline. So one of the greatest networkers I've seen offline, honestly, and Raul, I'm not just saying this to stroke you, dude, seriously. I mean, I like your hair. I'm not going to like bat you and Ted McGrath, the two individuals, my two brothers who have the best looking hair in the planet. You know, right there with Brad Pitt, which is good. So that, and I just say it because of the Oscars. My wife was like, oh, Brad Pitt. I was like, oh, God. Anyway, so let's keep going. So networking, dude. Like, you are a beast, and you have a process that you go through in networking. Talk for me real quickly, whether somebody's going through a local networking event, they're networking online, just the principles for you in networking. How do you use this game of proximity as power? I mean, you leveraged it to get tickets into the Oscars, and you were just there recently doing this. I mean, this isn't like a small thing. You get yourself on the islands that people can't get onto. You get yourself into rooms that people can't get into. You get yourself into conversations you can't get into. Talk about the strategy of networking.
You know, I learned this a long time ago from one of my mentors. He said, nobody cares about what you do. They only care what you could do for them. So the value, you know, when you're in a networking event, everybody wants to pitch, everybody wants to talk about themselves, right? So what I do, I don't talk about, here's what I use. Create something crazy, do something crazy that will bring a memory to them, right? I'll tell you what I did at the Oscars, right? I meet Mike Tyson. And everybody's going after Mike Tyson. They want to take a picture. They want to hang out with Mike Tyson. And I wait, you know, you have to be strategic about your network. You can't just go after the people. If everybody wants to talk to a guy or a girl, you have to be strategic. You have to wait until the timing is right. You have to really use that. But once you have the timing right and you get a casual conversation, you got to do a pattern interrupt. You got to do something crazy, right? So I go to Mike Tyson. I said, you know, tell me the truth. Tell me the truth. How did that ear taste? He looked at me like, are you fucking crazy? I said, I'm just kidding with you, man, you know. And like, nobody's going to ask him that because they're afraid. And I went there and he started laughing, and then we just had a great conversation because I did crazy things.
You did not say that. You said that for real. That's what I'm talking about. I love it.
And you know, I know he wasn't. I knew it was at the beginning of the night, so he wasn't drinking that much, so he wasn't gonna punch me out, you know. So he was security, and this is the Oscars. So this is an after party. So just use a pattern. Just be likable. Just don't talk about yourself, man. Just go out there and just have fun. Have fun and just bring value. Just bring value to the people. Just ask, like, what can I do for you? And just, I guess what works for me and is just give value, man. Just usually people don't know what I did. After knowing me, after a couple of days, they will ask me, shit, Raul, so what do you do? So we'll have a whole conversation at night, and then you will not know what I do. Like when you and I met, you probably didn't know what I did until after like the third or fourth conversation. I never talk about what I do. I always talk about what's important to you, what can I do for you, and where are you going. That's all the conversation. If you meet somebody for the first time, don't ever talk about what you do. It's all about what you could do for them and where are they going. Let them ask you later, like, shit, I've been such an asshole. I mean, Garrett, what do you do? Like, how can I help you? But that just comes natural because all night you've been talking about them, with them. So now for me, it's just easy to just talk about them because I love people. Just, hey, man, what do you do? How'd you get there? What did you do last month? What do you do for the summer? How many kids you have? I go personal. I don't go for the business. I just go deep, personal, and we talk about family. We talk about what they do for fun. We talk about crazy stuff, and that's what we go deep. And when you meet me for the first time, I'm talking about your family. I'm talking about what you do for fun, and I want to get to know you, because I don't know what you do, and I don't care what you do. I care about you as a human being. I think that's the difference that people right now are just focused on the business end, and just networking is not working. Networking is not working because are you a lawyer? Are you an accountant? Here's my card. That's as far as networking goes. Here's my card. They exchange cards. What the hell? I don't carry a card anymore. I just go straight from my phone and say, let me find you on Facebook. Let me friend you on Facebook. And the most important thing that's working for me right now is being real in Facebook. Like, I see a lot of people putting their Facebook profile as if it was their business profile. Like they want to sell stuff on Facebook. Facebook is not to sell. Facebook is to share your life. So you should be congruent. So I get a lot of clients from Facebook calling me saying, hey, I just saw your video. Like, it looks that what you're doing is working. They see you growth. And I talk about my growth. I talk about, shit, I was at the Oscars, right? My last video, I was at the Oscars. I was confused to be an actor. Somebody took an interview of me. They took pictures. They thought I was like, working for Telemundo. And then the next thing, somebody is asking me for a glass of water. They think I'm a waiter. And then this lady tells me, can you escort me to the exit? Thought I was security. So all those three things, but then I played the part because I'm in Hollywood, right? So I played it out. But I got to see that it's easy for us to get full of ourselves, because I got a chance to be in the stage and in an after party where I introduced Shaka Khan to the stage, and the MC left, so I was the MC for the whole night. I gotta tell you the story later, man, but that's a fun story. But it's just having fun, man. It's just having fun.
Okay, so I'm going to come back. I'm going to break this down then, because I heard a system, I heard a process in there. So for some of you listening, you're going, okay, Raul is a master. One of the cool things about being a master is that you're so good at what you do. It comes because of years of practice. It just is who you are. And once something becomes who you are, it's difficult to step away and see it. So I want you to look at this. So the first thing Raul was sharing with us in networking is, number one, is pattern interrupt. Pattern interrupt. Raul, anything you want to add to that first step as far as pattern interrupt when it comes to networking? Any other ideas? If I'm going to local things, so you get something I'm saying, is there any other examples you can give of ways you've done a pattern interrupt in networking before?
Yes. Know your limits. Know your limits. Because I pushed the button, and with Mike Tyson, I was pushing the button. I knew my limits. But know your limits. You have to know where your place is. You can't do crazy stuff and you're in a church. And know your boundaries. So do a pattern interrupt, but don't be crazy. Don't be that crazy guy that then all of a sudden nobody wants to talk to you. So a pattern interrupt could be as easy as, hey, listen, man, that suit is really nice. Like, where did you get that suit? Usually I love fashion, so I'm always asking, where'd you get that suit? It was a tailor-made, and then we're comparing suits. So nobody's asking that. For the woman, it's like, it's a beautiful dress. Was it made for you, or Things like that. That know your limits. Because I was coaching a guy yesterday, and he was giving me some crazy ideas. Said, no, that will land you in jail. Do not do that.
That's a good pattern interrupt. It's a good pattern interrupt to path your ass right to jail. So no, that's a big negatory. Okay, step 2, dude. Here you go. Step 2, you said is the personal pull. So I heard step 1 is pattern interrupt. Step 2 is personal pull. Give examples of how you go into that conversation where you're not talking about you and you're not talking about business, which these in and of themselves are pattern interrupts. Because everybody's so used to hearing their business talk and being pitched, you're saying, hey, pattern interrupt, and then we're going to personal pull. Give some more examples of how you begin to extract what seems like just, hey, I'm your bro, I'm hanging out with you, I'm your buddy here. Talk a little bit more about step 2. By the way, for those listening, we're just making this process up right now. It's what he does. My gift is to frame shit, so I'm just framing it up so that you can follow, maybe apply this at home. So we got pattern interrupt. Second step, we got personal pull. Talk to us about step 2 a little bit more.
Family. You got to talk about the family. If they're married, if they have kids, or if they're single, you have to talk about family. Because nothing is more personal to people than family. Show me the picture of your kids. Are you married? Yes. How long have you been married? And I always talk about my marriage. Oh, shit, I've been married 15 years. How many kids do you have? Oh, I have 2. So I have 2, 6 and 8. Let me see the pictures. Once you ask them to see the pictures, you're asking them, let me see the pictures. Now they're sharing with you their pictures. Now you make it. Now she looks just like you, Garrett man. She's your vivid image. Now automatically, like, shit, this guy cares. And don't make it fake. I mean, generally care. If you don't care about that stuff, then it's not gonna work for you. But if you generally care, it's gonna show through it. And then the conversations are gonna become natural. But just ask about family. And then after family, say, what do you do for fun? Like, people usually will turn around and say, I'm a lawyer or I'm an investor. Say, no, what do you do for fun? Because they don't hear that. They hear, what do you do? I said, I'm not asking you what you do. What do you do for fun? And usually that's a question that's a pattern within itself. It's like, oh, shit, I didn't think about that. Well, I like skydiving, or I like running, or I run a couple marathons every now and then. So now you're getting more personal. And then the other question is, are you living your passion? Are you living your purpose? How many times I had a conversation with a guy in the plane, and we had a 2-hour conversation about living your purpose. Because some of us, we think that we're living our purpose, but we're just making money. Because in real estate, I'm making money. Am I living my purpose through real estate? No, that's where I'm making money. I'm living my purpose by connecting people with the next level experience. That is my purpose. But I could lie all day long saying that real estate was my purpose. That's just a vehicle. So most people are just making money. They're not living their purpose. If you ask them that, that's a deep question they will go into in a heartbeat.
Okay, are you ready for step 3? You're probably as excited for me to tell you step 3 as you are. So step 3, I heard you say, was present value.
Yeah.
Or position value. So we've got step 1, pattern interrupt. Step 2, personal pull. We're getting the personal data. Third step is present the value, which is what I heard you say too, which is how do you hook them up? How do you connect them, which is what I know that you're gifted at, beyond gifted. So talk about that third step. Once we've got the personal pull, now I'm going to go to present the value. Talk through how you start looking at giving them and serving them to get what they want, that transition between the personal pull and now presenting value to them. And still at this point, I don't think you're actually, at least with me too, you weren't pitching. I still didn't really even know what you were doing. You hadn't got to that process yet. So let's talk about the third step.
So I usually ask him, what's the project that you're working on right now? What is the biggest project that you're working on right now? And then let him talk. Oh, I'm working on this and that. I said, if I could help you in anything, if I could connect you with one person, what would that look like? What do you need? And usually they say, well, I need a very good person to do this, or I need a connection in this. And I start taking my phone off, and I say, let me check it out. Let me see. And I text people right there. Let me see if I can go back. See, if I don't know somebody, I know somebody that will know somebody. So by the end of the night, I'm going to come back to you. I'm going to say, here's a connection that I have. Call them. I already made the intro. And I usually now I do it through Facebook. So I connect them through Facebook. So the conversation is already there. So I don't wait until let me follow up with you. If we hit it off and I know I could bring value, automatically, let me put a connection right now. Let me see who I could, before I forget, because I meet so many people, I'd rather do it right there and then. And it's so easy because we have our phones right in our hands. So if you tell me, hey, Raul, I need help with my marketing, I need help, with a sales funnel. I said, hold on, let me see who's doing mine. Let me see who I know who's the best. Here, call this guy. He's the best at doing that, and just let him know that I told you about it. So just right there, bring value. Or if they, sometimes they don't open up. So I talk about what's the last book they read, and I bring value by saying the last book that I read was this. You should check it out. So it doesn't have to be through a connection. It has to be maybe through a recommendation. So you always have to worry about if that doesn't work, just bring value of lighting them up. Like, man, like I just gotta say before I leave, Garrett, man, you have such a great energy, man, that just being around you, man, just brings me up to life. So people don't do that. Usually they just don't get compliments. We don't compliment people enough. Mm-hmm. We don't compliment people enough. Just compliment and acknowledge. Acknowledgement is food for the soul. There's not a lot of acknowledgement going on, especially in the business that we're in, because everybody thinks that we're in competition with each other.
Sure. So
if somebody's doing something for you, acknowledge that. Acknowledge that they are bringing value. So why wouldn't I acknowledge you taking your time to talk to me for 5 minutes amongst all these people? Say, hey man, thank you, Garrett, for talking to me, man. It's been great. I'm gonna connect with you. So I'll tell you, man, your energy and what we just had right now was great, man. I appreciate you taking your time. I want people to walk away from my conversation saying, shit, that felt good. It was a really good conversation. It was a genuine, authentic conversation, and I felt good. Nothing else. I'm going to compliment you with something real. If you have a bad haircut, I'm not going to compliment you on your haircut. But if you have good shoes, I'm going to compliment you on your shoes. So, I'm going to compliment you with something to make sure that you know that I acknowledge you.
I'd like to see you with a bad haircut. Are you committed to going to the next level and creating yourself a bad haircut? I do have clippers. I will bring them to the next level. I used to cut hair.
Oh, you know what? I cut my hair every single week. I cut my own hair.
Well, hold on a second. You cut your hair every single week?
Every week, man. Every week.
You have a measuring stick in there, don't you? You got like a damn ruler in there, and you're like measuring it down like to the. See, like I get like the long thing and the hair and it's like a big old nightmare. Next thing you know, it's like a month, 5 weeks I haven't cut my hair, and I'm like, holy shit, I'm like a wildebeest up in here. Okay, dude. So the last phase.
But let me just say something. That conversation of me cutting my own hair has opened up huge doors for me, man. Huge doors because that's a conversation that is real, and a lot of people cut their own hair or they wish they could. So that has opened up a lot of conversations, man.
Have you ever done a video of cutting your own hair?
No, maybe I should.
Let's do a video. You cut your own hair at the next level. Now you'll have to cut it before everyone gets there, just because God forbid we have it 3 centimeters out of place, you and Ted McGrath. I just don't know what to do with you guys. I'm just kidding. So, dude, we're going to do a video of you cutting your hair. I think it'd be great. I think it'd be fantastic. I won't bring my clippers. Obviously, you've got your own devices there, and as you can tell, I obviously don't clipper my own hair. So, okay, fourth step, and this is the part I'm interested in, because this is where it starts to produce the cash money for you in this process. How do you progress to the pitch? So we have step 1, pattern interrupt. Step 2, we have personal pull. Step 3, we have present the value. And step 4, we have progress to the pitch, which is really bringing your offers into the game. So how do you make that transition across the board here with these 4 steps that we've kind of uncovered today here in Hangout?
So if you bring enough value, to people, they will ask, so Garrett, what can I do for you? You brought so much value, what can I do for you? Then you have to be very, very strategic about your ask, because you can't just say, well, come to my event, You have to be specific. Do you want them to come to your event? I filled up my events by having a conversation. And in that conversation, I either already know that I want you to come or not. So if I want you to come, I'm going to extend that invitation. But usually, I already brought value. You're spending a half hour on the phone with me. I'm already bringing value after value after value. That at the end of the conversation, it just makes sense for us to work together. It just makes sense. And I'm telling you, 90% of the people that I talk to about the next level experience that contact me, after that conversation, and it does make sense, they all say, yeah, it's just a matter of the timing, and it's just a matter of taking care of it. It's never a conversation of, I don't think this is for me. It's always like, let me see if my schedule is open to that. and really I don't have to sell. I mean, I don't sell it because it's not about selling. And if I need something else, people always ask me, and I mean, I'm going to see I'm going to hang around with Richard Branson next week with the Mavericks, and those guys, they bring massive value, and I'm part of that group. So imagine having a conversation with Richard Branson. What kind of value do you think that I'm going to be able to bring to him? It's like, that's a deep conversation. So I'm going to figure it out from here till then, what kind of value I could bring. So I'm pretty sure that there's something that he needs that I have. I don't know what that is yet, but that is the expanding of your network. Yeah, that's right. I'm going to cut his hair.
There you go. You'll be like, well, what can I do to add to your life? And you'll say, listen, I'm just going to skip step 2. No personal pull needed. We're going to go straight to position value. I brought my clippers, and I have my scissors with me. I've got a mirror, Sir Richard Branson. Let's get to it, shall we? Let's get to it. Let's destroy your brand and cut your hair short, like mine. All right, dude. So we've got these 4 steps. We're going to come and wrap up here. These 4 steps, I wanted people to leave the hangout with kind of a process that they could deliver to themselves, but more importantly, a process they could bring with them to the next level experience. Now, dude, we'll talk about it. We've got, today is the 4th, the day that we're doing this hangout. The next level experience is starting on Sunday, the 9th. Completely irrational to request and unrealistic to request, and that's the fun thing about being elite and fun thing about playing at the next level is most of your greatest opportunities will come to you when you are not anticipating and you did not plan for them and you were not anticipating that this would be where you're going, and yet for a handful of you here on the hangout, you'll end up with us here on the 9th, 10th, and 11th in Las Vegas at the next level experience at the Wynn. Of myself, Raul, and 50-plus high-level men and women entrepreneurs who are dominating, crushing it, and are ready to experience proximity as power. But give us a lowdown on the process. I know there's kind of an application process for this. How does that work out? What would you like to add to information-wise on that? And then let's wrap this sucker up, and we'll be done for tonight.
Well, obviously there's a fee you have to pay, but I truly don't want your money. I truly don't want you to, this is not a pay and play. This is, what can you bring? What can you bring to the table? What can you contribute? So if you feel like this is something that you're even vaguely interested on, let's have a conversation to see if this is the right fit. Because to be honest with you, the people that are going to be there are the ones who should be there. Just like Garrett said, it was magical. Like, something is happening that is not me, and I can't take the credit. This is being guided. Like, the amount of people that are reaching out to me to be part of this is just being guided. So I don't know how many people are watching this, if it's hundreds of thousands or any amount. I'm looking for that one person. That's the reason that I travel so much, Garrett. I mean, I went to the underground, and I spoke there for briefly in the stage. After that, I went to Tony's event and I had a chance to meet some people there, and then I went to the Oscars. The reason I travel so much is because I'm looking for that one person that could impact, that one person that I could bring value to, that when they come to my event, their lives will change. Because it's not me, it's the proximity, it's the environment, it's the space that's created there. It's some real stuff that's going to go down, that's going to put you in proximity of people that will change your life. That will change your life. I mean, lives will change. Last time, wouldn't you agree, Garrett, when you and I got together, we're like, this is real. This is real.
It is big time. And I can tell you right now, having run events and run workshops, high-end events myself, that what you get coming to the next level experience, these guys are literally collecting enough to pay, if they were lucky, pay for the expense of the event, from the activities we're up to the venue, to the food, to just the way that this whole thing rolls out, guys. I'm telling you, it is worth your time, energy, and effort. If you are a networked entrepreneur or a less than networked entrepreneur that wants to be more networked, you've had success in business, and you know that you're tired of playing alone. This was a conversation I had with a gentleman, Kevin, from Ireland today, and another gentleman from the UK today. They're in these silos, experiencing the entrepreneur game alone. And you don't have to experience it alone. And we moved into a new economy, moved into a new game of currency, and there is no one in the marketplace right now better than Raul at teaching the proximity principle, but not just teaching it, but by giving you an experience of it, by coming to the Next Level Experience in Las Vegas on the 9th, 10th, and 11th. Below this video, you're going to see there's a button, a banner there for you to click on. We'll take you through to the nextlevelexperience.com. At that website, or if you're on YouTube watching this on the replay, or somehow someone else forwards you to this link, there'll be updated dates for the future events, which we haven't you haven't decided on yet, but we can tell you right now, 9th, 10th, and 11th, there's a couple spots available still for the Next Level Experience. I will be there. A handful of our warrior brothers from the Brotherhood will be there. We're excited to be there, excited to share, to network, to grow, and to expand. And if you're somebody like that, you're sick of playing alone, you've had success, you know it's time for you to understand, unleash, and unlock the ultimate power of the next level for you by really applying these 4 principles of proximity as power that Raul shared with us tonight. I would encourage you to get off your ass and click the button, have a conversation with Raul. I can promise you, as you can tell right now, the guy is not what you would call a he is not a Glengarry, Glenn Ross boiler room. I'm going to close you and punch you in the face. He legitimately is filtering for the right people because he, like I, understands the chaos that can happen when you insert somebody who's not the right fit for an event. And this thing has been hand-selected, unlike a campaign you could have run out with paid traffic, CPA ads, networks, etc., and just filled the room based on a profit structure and had low-quality people. Raul has personally interviewed and hand-selected each person who's coming into this event, and the process will be no different for you. So worst-case scenario, give yourself an interview. If it's a fit, great. I'd love to have you there. And we're going to give some crazy gifts. That's my dog barking in the background, as you can hear. Somehow got locked in the cul-de-sac, or the little courtyard area between our two little houses here at my house where my office is. So, brother, any final thoughts as we wrap up tonight with this hangout prior to seeing you at Next Level?
Listen, if I could leave you with anything, I'll leave you with the quality of your life is in direct proportion to the quality of your peer group. The people who you hang around with, the people who you surround yourself with, are the people who will either help you get to the next level or will keep you in the level that you're in. It's your choice.
Beautiful. Well, you heard it here. If you're ready to go to the next level and you're ready to have the next level experience, join us in Las Vegas here on the 9th, 10th, and 11th by clicking on the button below this video on the Hangout and or on the replay or on YouTube, wherever you're seeing this or however you got the link. You can also head on over to the nextlevelexperience.com, complete the application there, and get yourself into a conversation with Raul. Honor and my privilege to have this special episode here on Wake Up TV. Again, for all of those who are here, we would encourage you to come play. For the rest of you who do or don't, either way, remember that power in today's marketplace as a modern-day warrior in having it all and going to the next level comes down to the simple formula of authenticity. Be real, get raw, and stay relevant with a ruthless commitment to creating big-ass results today. And we look forward to seeing you at the Next Level Experience. Now click on that button now and quit sitting around and thinking about it. Get into a conversation with Raul soon.